So this has been the latest tank update. I got a new piece of live rock, so it looks real nice now, much nicer, and I got new bulbs. This is the first coral I bought it months ago. It didn't make it, so I just glued the skeleton in place, because my intentions going on is if this coral dies, I'm going to leave the skeleton in place and use it like live rock. Coraline's doing great. Frappé's doing good. They love the new live rock. I got filter socks, so the tank's a lot cleaner. I removed the PVC pipe. The abalone still hides every day, but that's to be expected. Sadly, the tridacna clam died. It was attacked by friggin' bristleworms. So, yeah. Look at this hilarious little hermit crab. He's just sitting there, screwing around. I love all my stuff. I have two more peppermint shrimp, so I now have 3 of them. This is how I dose the nutrients to the tank. So the way it works is, this is my alkalinity, this is my magnesium. I still need to get a syringe for calcium, but what I do is I take the bottom pipe, fold it so no fluid can come out, and then I measure it up to the graduations. This is actually the acclimation device I've made. So what you do is you just stick it on the top of you stick it to the top of the tank. And through the series of valves, you regulate the dosage, the amount of fluid coming through. Although this is where a syringe connects to create a vacuum, and this is the regulator, which is shut off completely when initializing the siphon starting. After the siphon starts, let's shut the this valve. Yeah, it works quite well. What I do is I hang this up onto the tank, and basically it's a DIY version of the Acclimate 2. I plan on getting one eventually. I'd really like to have one. It seems like a very trusting concept. But, you know, here's a side view. The coral that died. There's the hermit crabs growing around. You can see the shadow of Frappé on the glass. Java and Yuki was just over there. The tank overall is pretty clean now. The bottom's still a bit dirty, but it looks better than it did before. Down to the sump. Not much has really happened down here. So I took the light off my Aquafuge 2 and super glued it to the top of the auto top off chamber And as always, it's done pretty good. Hydrogen sulfide starting to fade away, which is a good sign that the idea of adding this pump to the back is working. The Kato's not doing well. Starting to think I might have to buy some more. The Marine Pure, it's just great. I can't see anyone not using it. I don't even test for nitrates and phosphates. Granted, I don't have a test kit, but I mean, with this much biological filtration, there's really no need for it, to be honest. I have just so much biological filtration that I doubt it's even necessary with the amount of food I feed the tank. I have both lights coming on simultaneously, and just so you know, my father's an electrician and he's taught me all the tricks. So, and that's the only making sure I'm not overloading the circuit. Granted, there's nothing plugged into these, but whatever does get plugged into these most likely only be wave makers or similar devices. Once I get the Energy Bar 832, I'll have 8 additional sockets. Well, 7, but it'll be a lot better. Well, yeah, 8, because I'm powering the Apex through a outlet. I won't need to do that anymore. So, yeah, and that tube's getting kind of kinked on the Aqua Lifter. So, I'm probably going to have to get a new an elbow to stick on it. Which kind of sucks, but that's fine with me. I still need to get the Kessel H380 in order to grow the Kato better. And what all of this stuff is, I borrowed my stepfather's microscope, and there's a lot of diatoms, some spirulina, and not sure whether it was bacteria or some sort of other algae or microalgae, but all this brown stuff really is driving me crazy. So if anyone wants to pitch in and give me an idea of what it is, go ahead. I mean, I doubt it's cyanobacteria, but it's each one of these little flakes under the water. Each one of these little tiny things is a mass of diatoms and various other organisms. Living, granted, but still, it's not really something I want to have in the tank. And I actually do have I don't know what you'd call it, but I have, what's it called again? Aptasia. I have aptasia in this compartment, but the simple matter of the fact that I have all of these, the peppermint shrimps, is the reason none of it's ever showed up in the display. So, which is nice. I'd like to get a fox face at some point, but now that I have the abalone and all the seraph snails, I mean, I really doubt I'm going to need anything else. And granted, I'd like to get the bottom a lot cleaner so the Coraline can get better coverage, but not much I can do about it, except for go crazy on inverts. And that's not something I'm ever comfortable with doing. Yeah. Whenever I get a piece of, I use Marco rocks for my live rock. This is our foundation rock. I have 2 smalls and 1 large. And to be honest, it's clean enough to where I'm totally comfortable just putting it in the tank without even cycling it. But that's only because I have all that marine pure in the sump. I am having no problems with my settling tank, which is great. You see, the reason I did the nutrient tank is it's set up for, so most of the time, eventually with a really good, super clean tank, there's ends up being nothing to yeah, people end up eventually starting to actually put in nitrates and phosphates. This way, there's always a steady supply. And what it's based off of having a purely organic bacterial mass that just populates. I mean, granted, that's probably the source of all this junk, but I mean, if that's the requirement to have my settling refugium, I'm totally okay with it. I mean, hell, it just means it's working. And what most people don't realize is copepods and all those creatures have a very, very easy time burrowing into detritus. And that just works out very well. I don't know if I can get a shot of it, but yeah, so man, you can see the reflection of the camera, but yeah, at the bottom of this I have about 3 inches of detritus, which in a way is actually creating a passive deep sand bed without me doing anything at all, just from having it on the tank. But the biggest factor with this design, and what a lot of people don't realize, is if you're disturbing a deep sand bed, you want to be able to notice that what you're doing is disturbing it. And that's where a bacterial deep sand bed comes from. If you were to drop a snail shell in there, you'd see all the algae, everything come up like a cloud. And that's not something you want to happen. The best method would be to just gently drop it down there. And that's pretty much the whole point of a deep sand, my organic deep sand bed. It's organics. You're obviously going to have anaerobic area, may be very thin along the bottom, but that anaerobic area just dissolves. So it's technically very difficult to get 4 inches of detritus at all. It takes years to get it that deep. I'm a huge proprietor of 0 water changes, and I have plenty of live rock, plenty of components, and I mean, I have no stress going on in this tank. Everything looks extremely healthy. Granted, there's a mild algae problem, but once the chaeto takes hold, it's gonna do well. And as the algae gets eaten up, it's gonna be replaced with coralline. And I'd rather have a pink bottom tank with little brown spots here and there than a glass bottom. Like, that looks ugly. Imagine it looking like that everywhere. That's what I'm going for. If you see stress in your animals, that's a good sign that what you're doing is not working. This tank, it looks really healthy right now, from my experience with this tank. I've always been able to tell that certain things might be off or something, but I mean, I can tell just by looking that my tank's doing good. And it might be looking feels a little off to me, but I mean, I literally got these lights, these new bulbs, a few days ago, and I got this rock a few days ago. So really, as long as you have enough biological surface on hand, it's gonna work just fine. And granted, you always want a skimmer running, even if it's not collecting anything. Always have your skimmer running with this setup. The amount of bacteria involved absolutely requires the extra oxygen, because without it, the tank's gonna fall back quickly. I've never tried turning off the skimmer and finding out. I mean, why would you? It's friggin' stupid. But yeah, this is the end of the update. I'll leave you to see Java and for Yuki for a little. Java's gotten so big. Okay, that's it for today. Comment if you want to. I really do appreciate comments if you leave them, so please leave them. Bye.